Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Learn English Through Stories. Today, we have another beautiful English story that will help you improve your listening, vocabulary, and pronunciation naturally. Today's story is called The Secret Garden Gate. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's story. Let's begin. Emma had always loved exploring old places. While many people enjoyed shopping malls or busy cities, she preferred quiet forests, small villages, and forgotten paths. She believed that every old place had a story waiting to be discovered. One warm spring morning, Emma decided to visit the small village of Green Hollow. The village was only an hour away from her town, but she had never been there before. She had heard that it was one of the oldest villages in the region and was surrounded by beautiful hills and forests. As soon as she arrived, she noticed how peaceful everything was. Colorful flowers decorated the windows of every house. Birds sang happily in the trees, and the fresh air carried the sweet smell of roses and lavender. The village looked like something from a storybook. Emma walked slowly through the narrow streets, smiling at everyone she met. The villagers greeted her warmly, even though they had never seen her before. Near the center of the village stood a small bakery. The delicious smell of fresh bread made Emma stop. She walked inside and ordered a warm loaf of bread and a cup of tea. The bakery owner was an elderly woman with kind eyes and silver hair tied neatly behind her head. "You are not from here," the woman said with a gentle smile. Emma laughed softly. "No, I'm just visiting for the day. This village is beautiful." The woman smiled proudly. "It has many beautiful places, but some are known only to those who are willing to look carefully." Emma became curious. "What do you mean?" The old woman looked toward the window before speaking quietly. "Have you ever heard about the secret garden?" Emma shook her head. "No. Is it a real place?" The woman nodded. "Some people believe it is only a legend. Others believe it truly exists." Emma leaned forward with excitement. "What is the story?" The old woman poured more tea into Emma's cup. "Many years ago, there was a magnificent garden hidden somewhere beyond the forest. It was said to bloom in every season. Even during the coldest winter, colorful flowers covered the ground." Emma listened carefully. People also believed that anyone who entered the garden would discover something they had been searching for, not gold or treasure, but something much more valuable. "What happened to it?" Emma asked. "No one knows. One day, the entrance disappeared." Emma smiled politely, although she wasn't sure whether she believed the story. Still, something about it fascinated her. After thanking the woman, Emma continued exploring the village. At the end of a quiet street, she found an old stone path leading into the forest. There was no sign, no map, only a narrow trail covered with leaves. Emma looked back toward the village. She could still hear children laughing in the distance. Then she turned and stepped onto the path. The forest was peaceful. Sunlight filtered through the tall trees, creating dancing patterns on the ground. Tiny birds flew from branch to branch. A family of rabbits disappeared into the bushes as Emma walked by. Everything felt calm, After nearly 30 minutes of walking, she reached a small stream. A narrow wooden bridge crossed the water. The bridge looked old, but it was still strong. Emma crossed carefully. On the other side, she noticed something unusual. A stone wall stretched between the trees. It was covered with green vines and colorful flowers. She followed the wall until she reached an old iron gate. The gate was beautiful. Its black metal was decorated with carved flowers, butterflies, and climbing roses. However, it was completely locked. Emma gently pushed the gate. It didn't move. She looked through the bars. Beyond the gate, she could see only thick plants and tall trees. There was no sign of any magical garden. "Maybe this is the place," she whispered. As she examined the gate, she noticed a small metal plate attached to one side. Most of the words had faded away with time. Only one sentence remained readable. "The gate opens only to a patient heart." Emma smiled. What a strange message. She searched for a lock, a keyhole, or even a hidden button. There was nothing. After trying for several minutes, she finally sat down beneath a nearby oak tree. She took out her bread from the bakery and quietly enjoyed her lunch. The forest was silent, except for the sound of birds and flowing water. As she rested, an old man appeared from another path carrying a basket full of apples. He smiled kindly. "You found the gate." Emma stood up. "Do you know this place?" The old man nodded. "I've walked these woods for more than 40 years. Can you open it?" The man laughed. "If I could, don't you think I would have done it already?" Emma smiled. "I suppose so." The old man walked closer and looked at the gate. "Many people come here. They try to climb the wall. They try to break the lock. They search for hidden keys. They always leave disappointed." Emma looked at him. "Then why do they keep coming?" "Because everyone hopes to find something extraordinary." Emma looked back at the gate. "Do you believe the garden exists?" The old man smiled without answering immediately. Instead, he asked, "Why are you here?" Emma thought for a moment. "I don't know. I guess I've always been curious. I like discovering places that other people forget." The old man nodded. "Curiosity is a wonderful reason." He picked up one apple from his basket and handed it to Emma. "For the journey." "Thank you." As he walked away, he stopped for one last moment. "Sometimes," he said softly, "the gate doesn't open because we are trying too hard." Then he disappeared among the trees. Emma looked at the mysterious gate once again. His words stayed in her mind. She walked around the wall one final time before deciding to return to the village. As she took a few steps away, she heard something. A soft metallic sound. Emma turned around quickly. The iron gate was slowly opening by itself. She stood frozen, no wind, no one nearby, only the gentle sound of the ancient gate moving quietly. Beyond it, a narrow stone path appeared, leading into a garden unlike anything she had ever imagined. Flowers of every color bloomed together. Golden butterflies floated through the air. Crystal clear water flowed from a small fountain. The entire garden seemed to glow under the afternoon sunlight. Emma took one slow step forward, then another. She crossed the gate. The moment she entered, the gate quietly closed behind her. Emma looked back. The path she had come from had completely disappeared. She was now standing inside the mysterious secret garden, and she had no idea what awaited her next. Emma slowly turned in a circle, taking in the beauty of the garden. Every flower seemed brighter than any she had ever seen. The air smelled of fresh jasmine, roses, and lavender. Tiny birds with colorful feathers flew from tree to tree, singing melodies she had never heard before. Although everything looked peaceful, the garden was strangely silent at the same time. There was no noise from the outside world. It felt as if time itself had stopped inside the ancient walls. Emma followed the narrow stone path. Every few steps she noticed something unusual. Some flowers opened their petals only when she walked past them. Butterflies circled around her for a few seconds before flying away. Even the trees seemed to sway gently, though there was almost no wind. After a short walk, she reached a small wooden bench beside a clear pond. The water was so still that it reflected the sky like a perfect mirror. As Emma leaned closer to the pond, she expected to see her own reflection. Instead, she saw herself as a little girl, smiling while planting flowers with her grandmother. Emma stepped back in surprise. "What was that?" she whispered. She looked into the water again. This time, she saw another memory. It was her first day at university. She looked nervous, but excited about the future. The images disappeared as quickly as they had appeared. Emma realized the pond wasn't showing her reflection. It was showing her memories. Curious, she continued walking until she reached the center of the garden. There stood an enormous oak tree, much older than anything she had ever seen. Its branches stretched across the sky, providing shade over almost half of the garden. Beneath the tree sat an elderly woman wearing a simple green dress. Her long white hair rested gently on her shoulders, and she smiled as if she'd been expecting Emma all along. "Welcome," the woman said kindly. Emma hesitated for a moment. "You knew I was coming." The woman nodded. "The garden always knows." Emma looked around. "Who are you?" "I have cared for this place for many years." "Are you its owner?" The woman smiled softly. "No one owns this garden. It belongs to those who need it." Emma sat on a nearby stone. "I don't understand." "Most people don't," the woman replied. "Not at first." Emma took a deep breath. "Everyone in the village says this garden hides a great treasure." The old woman laughed gently. "And what treasure were you hoping to find?" Emma thought carefully before answering. "I don't know. Maybe something magical." The woman nodded. "You have already found it." Emma looked confused. "I have." The woman pointed toward the pond. "What did you see?" "My childhood, my dreams, my happiest memories." "And how did they make you feel?" Emma smiled. "I hadn't thought about those moments for years." The woman looked at her kindly. "Life moves quickly. People become busy. They chase success, money, and responsibilities. Slowly, they forget the simple moments that once made them truly happy." Emma lowered her eyes. The words felt strangely personal. The woman continued. "This garden does not give people something new. It helps them remember what they have lost." Emma remained silent. She suddenly remembered how much she used to paint when she was younger. She had dreamed of becoming an artist, but after university and work, she had packed away her paints and never touched them again. "I haven't painted in years," Emma said quietly. The woman smiled. "But your heart still remembers." A gentle breeze passed through the trees. Hundreds of flower petals floated through the air like tiny pieces of colored snow. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Emma asked, "Why doesn't everyone get to enter this garden?" The old woman stood and slowly walked toward the ancient oak tree. "Because most visitors arrive looking for treasure." She gently touched the rough bark. "They search with their eyes." She placed her hand over her heart. "But the garden opens only to those who search with kindness, patience, and curiosity." Emma remembered the words written on the iron gate. "The gate opens only to a patient heart." Now she finally understood. The message had never been about a key. It had been about the person standing before the gate. The old woman handed Emma a small cloth bag. Inside were several tiny flower seeds. "Take these." Emma looked surprised. "Will they grow like this garden?" The woman smiled. "Only if they are planted with love." Emma carefully placed the bag into her backpack. "Will I ever find this place again?" The woman looked toward the entrance. "Perhaps. But even if you don't," she pointed toward Emma's heart, "the most important part of the garden will always stay with you." As the afternoon sun began to set, Emma knew it was time to leave. She thanked the old woman sincerely. When she reached the iron gate, it opened quietly on its own. Emma stepped outside. As soon as she turned around, the beautiful stone wall had disappeared. There was only the forest, no gate, no flowers, no ancient garden, only tall trees moving gently in the evening breeze. Emma searched everywhere, but there was nothing to find. Had she imagined everything? She looked into her backpack. The small bag of flower seeds was still there. She smiled. It was real. Back in Green Hollow, she stopped at the bakery one last time. The elderly baker looked at Emma and smiled knowingly. "You found it." Emma smiled back. "I did." "And what treasure did you bring home?" Emma thought for a moment before answering. "I remembered who I used to be." The baker nodded. "Then you found exactly what the garden wanted you to find." Months passed. Emma returned to her own town, but something inside her had changed. She began painting again after work. At first, it was only for a few minutes each evening. Then hours passed without her noticing. She laughed more often. She spent less time looking at her phone and more time walking through parks and forests. She called old friends she hadn't spoken to in years. She visited her parents more often. She even planted the mysterious flower seeds in a small corner of her garden. Nothing happened for several weeks. Then, one quiet morning, tiny green leaves appeared. A few days later, beautiful flowers bloomed. Their colors were unlike any flowers she had ever seen. Whenever someone asked where they came from, Emma simply smiled. "They remind me not to forget what truly matters." Years later, Emma became known as one of the most talented artists in her city. Her paintings were filled with colorful gardens, peaceful forests, and hidden paths. People often said that looking at her artwork made them feel calm, hopeful, and happy. One day during an art exhibition, a little girl stopped in front of a painting of an old iron gate covered with roses. She looked at Emma and asked, "Where is this beautiful place?" Emma smiled warmly. "It exists." The little girl opened her eyes wide. "Can I go there someday?" Emma knelt beside her and gently replied, "Of course. But first, never stop being kind, never stop being curious, and never grow too busy to notice the beauty around you." The little girl smiled brightly. "I promise." Emma watched her walk away, and for just a second she thought she saw a golden butterfly flying toward the open window. She smiled. Perhaps the secret garden had already begun calling its next visitor. Or perhaps the garden had never been a place at all. Maybe it had always been a reminder that the greatest treasures are not hidden behind locked gates. They are hidden inside grateful hearts that choose wonder over worry, kindness over pride, and hope over fear. And maybe that secret had been waiting for each of us all along. Sometimes the greatest treasure is not something we find. It is something we remember. Never become so busy chasing success that you forget the dreams, kindness, and simple joys that once made your heart happy. A patient and grateful heart can discover beauty where others see nothing at all. Thank you for listening to The Secret Garden Gate. If you like this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Learn English Through Stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. See you in the next story. Goodbye, and have a wonderful day.